Alright, welcome to this final video in the linked data for digital humanities and social analytics series. So we've looked at RDF and why you would want to do linked data on the web. We saw a syntax, I think the most important syntax for RDF, which is RDF turtle. We looked at the query language, SPARQL. And we looked at, for example, reusing other people's data, and we even converted our own data into RDF using OpenRefine. So I just want to show you an example of a real research project that we did in the digital humanities domain that actually does all these things at a bigger scale, and then also point you to a hands-on exercise that you can actually do to play around with SPARQL, asking questions about different data sets in this combined data set. Right, so without further ado, let's go to the screen. So this project is called Dutch Ships and Sailors. It's already a few years old. And in that project, we talked to a number of maritime historians. And there we saw that, we're talking to maritime historians in a big workshop, around 20 people, all talking about, the Dutch maritime history, and some people were interested in shipwrecks, some people were interested in 17th century shipping, other people were interested in labor conditions in the 17th century, 19th century shipping. So basically people address this from completely different angles and are interested in slightly different topics. But they all have data that they really want to share and inspect. However, this data is, sometimes it's available, but sometimes it's on some disks, or it's in Excel form, or it's written down, or so there's different types of data sources, because these historians, they make that data or collect that data for their own purpose, and then maybe if you're lucky they share it, but they share it with some specific purpose in mind. So it's very hard to reuse these things. So what we decided is to do a project in which we would integrate different data sets all around Dutch shipping and make them all available as linked data and interconnect them. So we basically had two data sets that were quite new. I mean, they were about old things, but they were made by historians during the course of the project. And then there were some existing data sets, such as the VOC Opvarenden, which is about shipping records of the East India Company. Dutch Asiatic shipping basically talks about the same period, but from a completely different angles. It's really about trips rather than the people that actually who got paid what. And then there's the Royal Library newspapers. There's all kinds of other data sets that we combined. Okay, so we converted everything to linked data. So we basically did the trick that you do with OpenRefine, right? We took all the data and we mapped it to some data set. But very important, we didn't upfront decide on this is what a table for Dutch maritime history will look like. Because you can imagine that we will never agree on, let's say, what are the most important things, what are table headers, how do we write ship names, right? If you put 20 historians in a room, they will have 20 different ways of solving this. So rather than coming up with one data model, what we said is, we're actually going to sort of model each of the data sets in their own right, with their own ideas and let's say, worldview. And then we're going to link whatever we can link, right? This is this promise of linked data, that we have these individually modeled data sets, and then this is flexible. We could just add triples saying, this ship is actually the same as that ship. Or when we say captain here, we mean the same thing as we mean captain there. Or maybe not really the same thing, but almost the same thing. Right? And linked data allows you to be very flexible in these things without having to sort of redefine every time what exactly is the common ground here. Right, so different but linked data models, and these were based on competency questions. So we asked historians how, what do these things look like? What would you be interested in when we could combine these things? Right, so we got all kinds of interesting links between the different data sets, and then it was all published as linked data. So it's a big graph, right, a big knowledge cloud essentially. And then what we wanted to show also is that you can then do cool and new visualizations, for example, right? So one thing that we could do is this graph, for example. So this is the amount of sailors that boarded ships in the East India Company, but split out over different provinces, right? And then visualized on a timeline. So what this could show you is that there may be very weird discrepancies, that over time people from specific provinces sort of boarded these ships less. And this was not something that was in the original data, but because we had mapped individual places to places in geonames in this case, right, this data set that is about geographical data, we can actually infer that, oh, well, I know this person comes from Haarlem, I know Haarlem is the same as this Haarlem, and this Haarlem I know is actually part of North Holland, for example. Right, so and now I can visualize this just by writing a simple SPARQL query that says, oh, give me all people that boarded something that is in a place that is in North Holland. Right, so this is a picture that you could draw, could build manually, right, by adding that column in the database, but it would take you a very long time because you would have to do lookups all the time. So here we can actually do that automatically. It's just one simple query. So we do other visualizations like map visualizations or compare shipping across different data sets by volume. Right? And these allow you to ask questions and really sort of interact with the data in an interactive way. And if you're interested in more raw data, right, so if you just want to go beyond the visualizations, you can just ask a SPARQL query. Right, so actually all of these competency questions, these are questions that you can see, for example, find all the embarkments that have a ship and a captain with the last name Boer. Or I want to find all occupations and the census occupations from 18 something and then link them to the ship jobs that we found in our other database. Right, so all kinds of different questions, and then we map them to SPARQL queries, which you just saw, right? So these are basically, again, these graph patterns, and they could be mapped, right? But that's quite nice. So now, you can do that yourself. So there's actually a SPARQL hands-on tutorial that you can follow. It's here, victordeboer.com/DSS SPARQL hands-on. So let me just go there with you. Right, so we can open that. So if you go there, you see a little bit of text about the project, and then it says you can actually go to this URL, semanticweb.cs.nl/DSS. So if you go there, you actually go to this very bare bones page that is basically the front end of the dataset. And then if I go here to simple form, here I can type my SPARQL queries. So let's go back to the tutorial. Well, it says, well, you can do example queries and there's some exercises in there. So what you can do is just copy a query, for example, the first one, and that's a very simple one. It says, give me the first 10 triples. So if you remember the SPARQL tutorial, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. This says, is basically the simplest one. It says select star, so give me everything, right? So give me all the bindings of the variables that you have here. Where, and now comes the triple pattern, question mark X, question mark Y, question mark Z. So again, remember the previous video, this gives back all the triples. And therefore I limit it at 10, so it just gives me back the first 10 triples. Right? Okay, so now I click go, and I should get some results. So in this case, well, apparently there's a triple says A-monstering, and then for some reason it says X, Y, Z, right? So from right to left. So this A-monstering has an original scan, and then it points to some JPEG, right? So this is a fact about that appears in the data. Okay, so there's all kinds of, this is our first 10 triples, there's millions of them, so they might not be the most interesting ones. So what you can do every time is copy one of these queries and paste them into this query field, and then you get you can sort of explore the data. So maybe we do one more, right? So this says find all places in DAS, which is one of the data sets, and this one is has English labels, so it's a bit more internationally understandable. It says find all DAS places with the preferred label Middelburg. So it has apparently looks for names of cities. Right, so I can do that. So let's have a look. So here we do this bookkeeping, housekeeping, right? So we define these namespaces, and then it says here select everything where like something, this is the variable, is a place, and that something has a pref label, which is apparently this label, Middelburg. So let's see if we get the result. Well, yeah, we find one, right? And we only ask for one variable, so we get a table with one result and one column. And actually, I can click on that thing, and then I find some more triples here about it. And we do some visualizations. That's all, let's say, extra. But here, really, you can query the data, and you can ask the most complex queries you want, and then hopefully you get some interesting results. So, what you can do is go to that hands-on session and play around with some of these questions. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.